Welcome back. This is the last episode in my short podcast series within the podcast. And we've been talking about how to really make sure that you are launch ready in 2020 and beyond. These have all been very off the cuff episodes of the podcast. Very little to no editing whatsoever, as you can tell with none editing. But really, it was just so that I could sit down and chat with you about some things that I'm talking about with my, business besties, mastermind partners, and different people accountability partners that I speak to on the regular. And these are really foundational pieces that we're kind of all embracing and taking into 2020. Maybe some of them we've already embraced and we've already been doing for a while, but really solidified some of these core ideas, core concepts that are going to make or break launches. And this goes across the board, not just new people or new businesses that are just starting up, or people who are just getting started. I don't want to say newbies because I used to use the word newbies, but I think we can all take on a newbie kind of vibe if we want to. But this is all going to be applicable to people, even if you've been launching for years. And something happens over time with years and years of business ownership, and that is we forget how there's one thing that really lends itself well to any type of launch, and that's simplicity. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And especially with simplicity, there's a specific way I like to work, and that I always advise clients, coaching clients, whoever I work with. It's all about simplifying. Every single thing we do is about simplifying, improvements made in products, the way we're going to actually launch, the elements of the launch, the tools we use. Everything is about simplicity and working in layers. Okay? So I actually did a podcast or a blog post about this layer cake strategy, because I gotta put everything into food and cake and whatever. I'm by the way, sugar is another thing I'm giving up this year. So I am gonna really just remove that word cake from my vocabulary. See, I might get off track here and talk to you about coconut, but I swear I'm not. No. Okay. Back on it, Anne. Back on it. So simplicity is just one of those things that I'm even thinking about now. I rarely talk about details about Marie Forleo, her B School launches, or other clients that I work with that also have been launching for years and have established audiences and products and services. But even when I think of someone like Marie, who has a bigger team, she's very well established. If you don't know Marie Forleo, and you're listening to this podcast, I would be very surprised. So if you don't, go Google it and find out who Marie Forleo is. But you would think that over time, as your team grows, as your influence grows, as your revenue grows, that things are going to get more complex. But I have to tell you that team aims for simplicity and is constantly looking for ways of pruning out unnecessary things, tools, content, everything. I wasn't so much involved in the B School content updates this year just because of time and schedule, but I did do a fair amount of review of what's in the program currently, and I definitely did over the past 3 years. I was involved in a lot of the product updates, and we always aimed for simplicity and the launch strategies, simplicity, the tools that we use. How can we make sure we're using the absolute leanest setup possible? Okay. So just remember, work with simplicity in mind, and know that, and just look at some of the people that you follow, that you love, that have businesses, and think, wow, that actually is a pretty simple setup. Now, some people love to just have it all over the place and have all the things, all the but I actually kind of find that really exhausting for everybody, team, the audience. It's just why. So I'm saying right now, simplicity. Okay. And to that end, working in layers is how I stay simplistic, how I keep things simple. So if you're looking at a launch as a system, which is what we talked about on day 4 or part 4 of this series, working in layers allows you to set up one system, work that, make sure it's working, and then build and build and build like you're building layers. So time 1 that you do a launch is just going to be a webinar and emails and whatever else you're currently doing. But let's say you're just going to use a webinar. Maybe the next time you're going to do a video series, and then you're also going to do the webinar. So maybe you're going to do like a video series that's kind of more like a challenge, but it's still videos. And then you're going to send people to an evergreen webinar. There's so many different ways to do it. Actually, maybe layer 1 was you just getting on Facebook Lives 2 times a week, or for 4 launch videos essentially, but you're doing them in Facebook Live. And then in the last live, the 4th one, is where you're going to kind of do your webinar, that content, and invite people into the program. And that's layer 1. So work in layers. So wherever you are right now, what is the simplest layer you can start with? And I think when you're starting with any new product, the leanest setup, the leanest strategy you can find to reach people, to test the idea, is the way to go. You don't want to be investing in like this crazy, ginormous launch before you know that something is a proven thing. And especially now when there's so much competition for many industries in terms of like online launches and what people are inundated all the time. Sometimes that simplicity can just bring, and that one layer, like you just do 2 weeks of Facebook Lives and you have a sales page and you have all the other pieces, but your real strategy is just going to be Facebook Lives. Sometimes that actually can feel really interactive and really fun and really engage your audience better than a video series, like a pre-recorded, beautifully edited, lit, shot, whatever. You would be surprised what actually might do better for your people. So start with that first layer, whatever it is. And of course, I'm not going to say you can't do your video series. If you want to do a video series, you do a video series. Figure out what is your layer 1, okay? And go from there. It doesn't have to have a challenge and then a webinar and then an early bird and then all of the things. You don't need all the things, okay? So work in layers. Simplicity, my friends. Okay. And that's it. So let's recap the last 6 days so we can really get clear on these 6 things that I want you to bring into this year and bring into your launches. Consistency, okay? The way you show up is the way people experience you. And if you're showing up all over the place, it doesn't matter. I'm not telling you have to show up at any specific rate, but you have to decide what's consistent for you. How can people get that consistent experience of you? 2, CBB. Use this mantra anytime you feel like you're adding stuff that doesn't, or tweaking something, or not letting go, or, oh my gosh, this sales page is taking so long, or, oh my gosh, why am I not done with my webinar slides yet? Are we looking at a CBB? We might be. Okay. Step number 3, embrace their definition of you. So when I say that, embrace your audiences, embrace the definitions that people say, that shorthand, like, oh, she's the so-and-so girl, or he's the dude who does this. It's okay. Let them simplify it for you. Let your audience, let people around you simplify who you are to them. And don't reject that, because it'll really help you during your launch. Let them remember those little pieces of you. Oh yeah, she's that planner girl. She likes stripes. I'm talking about a friend of mine who they know people will literally reach out to her because they see someone else using similar branding and they're like, I think she's stealing your branding or whatever, or she's trying to be you. They're so tuned into like certain stylistic even choices that they see that as her identity. Okay, so embrace people's and definition of you and be okay with it, unless it's literally completely off. Step 4, set up systems. And make your first system taking inventory of everything you've created, the people around you who can support you, the tools that you use, etc. Step 5 is invest in support, because you need support in a totally different way than just saying, good job, how did today go? You need people to be able to touch base with you, find out what's going on, find out if you're hitting like your milestones, and find out if you're on track and know what that on track means, okay? And we talked about the launch incubator. This is something that I recently set up, so we're going to see how that goes. And then step 6 is work in layers. Keep it simple. Simplicity is everything. The more that you can keep it simple, guess what? The more you're going to be engaging with your audience, the more you're going to be really focused on them and not so much on, oh my God, I didn't get the landing page up for video 4 or video 3 or whatever. Focus on serving. Keep it simple and work in layers. Okay, so I hope you've liked this off-the-cuff podcast series. It really was my way of getting myself more consistent with you. And if you are not already in the Facebook group, which is called The Launch Lounge with Anne Samoylov over on Facebook, I said that twice. I'm so sorry. All you have to do is go to the show notes and click that link and get over there. Also, if you think you're like, okay, I can do this, I can handle this, and you want to just dive deeper in what it takes to actually launch your products, your services, and really just get to work. If you're just ready to get to work, I want to invite you to something that I created, and that is a masterclass. I just updated it. It is totally Netflix style. You pick the time and you go watch it. By the way, we do that for a very specific reason. It's so that you can commit to a specific time and it's there for you. And you say, yes, I want to watch it at this time. And you're going to go watch it. And then I want you to report back to me if you watch it. Okay? All right. And to go to that, all you have to do is go to AnneSamoylov.com/masterclass. Again, I will put that link in the show notes below. Now, I will see you in another week because this was a 6-day thing, right? So we'll see you on the next regularly scheduled episode of the Fearless Launching Show. Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate it, and I can't wait to get to know you this year. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.